ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितमेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. Causes of Vaishnava Aparadhas. The next question is how Vaishnava Aparadhas, offenses against devotees, can originate. There are several causes. For example, judging devotees by material standards, feeling envious of them, or finding faults with them. But the main cause is asat sanga, undesired association with other persons. Because in the association of materialist we lose bhakti, asat sanga can be subdivided into two classes. Potentious association with women, that is contrary to the Vedic tradition. This means to associate with women other than one's wife outside of a Vedic marriage just to satisfy one's senses or simply to desire sensual association. The same principle applies, of course, to women who have association with lusty men outside their Vedic marriage. Another undesirable habit is to keep the company of a husband who is dominated by strong sensual desires for his wife, and in the same principle, it is undesirable to keep the company of a wife who is dominated by strong sensual desires for her husband. 2. Association with four kinds of non devotees. Mayavadis, who believe that the Lord and the living entity are temporary and that the Lord's transcendental deity form is material, and who think that in the end all is one. Hypocrites, who pretend to be devotees in order to make a living. People who just hanker after sense enjoyment and have an envious, quarrelsome character, and atheists who do not believe in any form of God. These two types of asasanga are the cause for criticizing devotees. One should even avoid the association of those who criticize devotees for not wanting to keep the company of non devotees. But what about devotees living outside of a temple community? Don't they keep almost exclusively the company of non devotees? The scriptures are practical, not fanatical. They discuss three ways of association: to give association, to take association, and to have social dealings. If one happens to be in a situation that he cannot give association, that is, talk about Krishna conscious subjects, he can externally behave normally according to social customs and inwardly keeps one's spiritual vision. However, one should avoid to take association, that is, to allow oneself to become influenced by non devotee value. Our appreciation for the devotees will decrease by undesirable association, asat sanga, so that sometime or other we may commit offenses. And these offenses can completely destroy our bhakti. Let us therefore seriously endeavor to avoid criticizing others. To do so, we have to learn to become tolerant and also to grant everybody what we claim for ourselves, namely to be accepted as we are. Three kinds of Vaishnava Aparadhas. What about criticism and blasphemy in the mind? Srila Prabhupada explains in the Srimad Bhagavatam that in Kali Yuga, sinful activities performed only in the mind are not counted as offenses. Nonetheless, three kinds of offenses have to be mentioned: offenses in the mind, offenses with words, offenses through activities. Krishna Book, chapter 88. Generally, Generally, offenses develop in the mind and are expressed later on a gross level. First, one thinks negatively about another, then one can find harsh words to express one's feeling or of dislike for the other person, and eventually, when that is not enough, one can confront the person personally and get into an argument or even physical fight. In this way, offenses arise successively. First is thinking, then in feeling, and finally in acting. The Skanda Purana warns us to beware of the following offenses against Vaishnavas, which include offenses committed with body, mind, and words. My dear king, if one derides an exalted devotee, he loses the results of his pious activities, his opulence, his reputation, and his sons. Vaishnavas are all great souls. Whoever blasphemes them falls down to the hell known as Maharaurava. He is also accompanied by his forefathers. Whoever kills or blasphemes a Vaishnava, and whoever is envious of a Vaishnava or angry with him, or whoever does not offer him obeisances or feel joy upon seeing a Vaishnava, certainly falls into a hellish condition. Quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 15.261. In the Chaitanya Bhagavata, it is stated, Lord Chaitanya said, all living entities in the countless universes are my eternal servants. Therefore, every living being that hurts or abuses another living being will be destroyed. Even a sannyasi who blasphemes an innocent person will fall down and lose all his piety. Then Lord Chaitanya raised his golden arms and declared to the whole world, just give up the tendency to criticize others and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I'll personally liberate everyone who chants the name of Krishna without criticizing others. When the assembled devotees heard Chaitanya Mahaprabhu speaking like this, and they exclaimed with full joy, Jai, Jai, Jai. However, by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, the first kind of offense, namely offenses committed in the mind, have been extinguished. Only offenses committed by words or action are taken into consideration. On the other hand, simply thinking positively in reference to devotees or to devotional service is taken into account. That is Lord Chaitanya's special mercy. I'll stop here. So, what we have learned today, how how actually Vaishnava aparadha or offenses originate. Mostly it's by asat sanga or association like with a bad association. We know in Nectar of Instruction it's mentioned how there are six different things how our bhakti will destroy, and six different things how I will bhakti will progress. So how our bhakti destroyed Nectar of Instruction, in Nectar of Instruction Srila Rupa Goswami mentioned अत्याहार प्रयाश्च प्रजल्पो नियमाग्रह जनसंगस्य लौल्यं च सद्भिर्भक्ति विनश्यति. Janasangasya, there is one point, there are six different things like atyahara, prayasasya, prajalpo. Atyahara means like eating more than necessary or collecting more than required. Atyahara, prayasasya, prajalpo. So prajalpo, like gossiping, niyamagraha, like following different rules and regulations only on the sake of following them without understanding the values. Then Janasangasya Laulyam. Janasangasya means association with non-devotees or worldly minded people, and Laulyam, being very greedy or like over endeavoring things which are very difficult to achieve. So these things, six things as mentioned, how our bhakti destroys. Today also we learned that mostly the bad association, there are like two different categories we learned. First is like like mostly out of our four regulative principle, the illicit sex, like those who like association with the men who are like always in a lust desire, or like women even who are in the always in the lust desire mode, like that's outside of marriage. And inside, even marriage, if wife is always like in the lust desire form, or husband is also in that category, then if we'll associate with this kind of people, or like we usually do commit offenses. And again, there are other four categories of people mentioned, like materialistic people, and other categories with whom if we associate. So mostly if we associate with like because of bad association, we do like when bad association is there, we start gossiping or we start criticizing. And also towards the end, it is mentioned like the three categories when we offense, we start doing offenses in mind, then in our like words, and then action. So in Kali Yuga, however, because of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, the offenses committed in mind is like is nullified, and it's not taken into consideration. But however, whenever the offense originates in mind, then only it comes to words. And if someone is not even satisfied with words, they go for action. Like they start directly communicating in an offensive way, or even like fighting, like they become physical. So, which is not good. So, it's always good idea to control our mind. So not negative about negative thoughts, or like when I criticize, we criticize people. Why we criticize people? Because most of the time we think we are better than others, or like if mm, we see someone is doing better than us. Those are the two situations we mostly criticize people. So actually, it's not only criticizing Vaishnavas, it's always prohibited to criticize anyone, even non-devotees. Sometimes someone, when they come like they try to become devotee, like we all are trying to become devotees, and we see other people not doing anything, we start criticizing them, we start judging them, like how what they're eating, how they're behaving. We should stop actually doing that. We should not criticize anyone. And it we also see how criticizing Vaishnavas without without not offering obeisances to Vaishnavas, like highly elevated souls, that's also a very big offense. So we should always um, try not to this kind of things. And again, in Nectar of Instruction, there are 6 things mentioned how our bhakti will progress. How our bhakti will progress? Ustahat nischay dhairya tat tat karma pravartanat sango त्यागात satavritte sadvir bhakti prasiddhyati. Ustahat nischaya dhairyat, like being enthusiasm, nischayat, that like yes, having a strong faith, then dhairyat, patience, that also we learn today, that how we can avoid offenses only through tolerating them. Because sometimes, yes, sometimes things don't go the way we want, so we just have to tolerate. If we learn to tolerate, then we can avoid committing offenses. Because most of the time we don't have patience, and we cannot tolerate, like okay, things are not going in my way, means I will start talking anything or whatever I like to talk. So, and knowingly, or even sometimes unknowingly, we commit a lot of offenses, because we even don't know that we are criticizing others. We are like talking in a casual way, but that's also like we should understand. We are like sometimes we are criticizing others. So, what are the other things? Our bhakti will progress. Utsaha nisya dhairyat tattat karma pravartanat Sango Tyagat Satabrite. Sango Tyagat means if we'll avoid association with worldly minded people. And also we learn today like how 3 things we have to do. Either we have to give our association or take good association. So sometimes it's not even possible to give association or to to do preaching or to talk about Krishna conscious stuff. That time, what we have to do, it's mentioned that outwardly we have to. So like we're normally, like let's say there are situations where we cannot like do preaching or like talk about Krishna conscious. That time we have to show that okay, we don't know anything. We are also like one of you doing material stuff, but inside, we have to always think about Krishna. Yeah, so a very interesting topic, this like Vaishnava Prad and all. We all have to be very, very careful because it's mentioned that if we do do Vaishnava Prad or we commit offenses, then whatever progress we have made, that all everything will go. So it's in Bhagavatam also it's compared like Vaishnava Parad is like Hattimat, like mad elephant. When an elephant become mad, it destroys the whole garden, beautiful garden. Similarly, when we do offenses or the beautiful garden of our bhakti or whatever we have like grown our bhakti lata, everything will destroy. We have to be very, very careful for that.